TGIF, it is Friday, and we start Friday early in the morning with some major leaks happening from the Transformer world. I will say this right now, the individual that leaked this, in my opinion, hasn't really proven anything at this point, and where the source of it comes from is still dubious. So everything that I say today should be taken with a grain of salt, and we'll try to break it down and make sense of what is presented here. I don't know, a lot of the stuff that I look at just seems kind of obvious, mixed with previously existing stuff, but we'll take it with a grain of salt. There is retail IEO numbers on the side, and at least those numbers don't match up with anything we've gotten thus far, but this might just be a very elaborate, well thought out fake, or we're looking at a list here that we're going to discuss today of the future of Transformer product into the second half of 2021. So let's jump into that. This comes courtesy of Pixel Master, and where this comes from, we still don't know, but we go through a whole bunch of different Cyberverse, some studio series, and a whole bunch of interesting listings of War for Cybertron product. So let's jump into that. First thing we have is we have a whole bunch of Cyberverse stuff. None of it is a surprise. It's all stuff that we've discussed in the past. The only thing that we could take away from that is there was going to be an assortment price point of these roll and combine and roll and convert price points. And it seems that they actually have the Bumblebee trademark under it. So it might not actually be a Cyberverse thing. It might be part of the buzzworthy Bumblebee line. It might be part of the Cyberverse line. We don't know yet. The original listings had them under Cyberverse. Now they have this Bumblebee name in front of them. Could be the Bumblebee character, but we don't know yet. So all we know is Bumblebee, roll and combine, roll and convert. All that gimmicky Cyberverse stuff potentially could be buzzworthy, could be Cyberverse. Nothing really to take away from that. Let's get into the more interesting stuff. So we could kind of skip over the studio series stuff. Nothing new, nothing really surprising there. War for Cybertron Kingdom, let's get into that. So first, we know that according to this, hey, we're getting a new core class assortment. No surprise there. We still have more waves to go before this line is said and done. Same thing with Deluxe, Voyager, and Leader Class. Anyone could take a guess of that we got more coming. Nothing is ending too soon. This is where it gets interesting. So first we have a Transformers Target exclusive Generation War for Cybertron Kingdom 4-pack. Now, what could that 4-pack be? Very interesting there with that. Now, previous Transformer 4-packs in the recent history have kind of leaned more towards cheaper price point individual robots. And what I mean by that is scout classes, one-step Transformers, and even that of like stuff like tiny turbo changers being packed in to make a 4-pack of stuff. So I'm reminded of, like, let's say the Cyberverse Seeker 4-pack where you had Starscream and 3 other Seekers. It's something like that if this is a 4-pack, it could potentially be a scout price point of something much smaller, and that would just kind of work out better, or in this case, what we call a scout, a core class. So, I mean, this is in fact, it's just me spitballing, taking the Rat Trap, the Optimus, the Megatron, the Starscream, or maybe one of the Fossilizers, and giving those different repaints into new characters and making a 4-pack. Getting Rat Trap as Pack Rat, the old Bakhan repaint, getting Optimus in a black repaint or an Ultra Magnus repaint, getting Megatron in, I guess, a G2 colors or a Megaplex colors if you want to go that route. Starscream, one of the many Seeker jets. Of course, it would suck for a lot of people because those 4-packs, despite the fact that they're all core classes, are more expensive, and you might end up with some characters that you don't want. So if they go that route, if this is legit, and what I'm saying is one of the potential ways that they could go about it, that would be kind of Again, these 4-pack thingies in general have not been selling very well, whether it be the Quintesson one, whether it be the Black Hot Rod from Cyberverse, whether it be the Starscream one. They've really been large retail items that retailers get maybe like, a case of 6, and then those kind of linger. And I mean, from my personal experience, a lot of them end up going on clearance because they just don't find an audience. So I really hope that maybe this isn't what I think it is, and maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking too deeply and way too ahead, but it's something from every step along the way. It's just something to keep in mind. Then they talk about Commander Class here. Now, this has been the rumor that has been going along going around for quite a while now that the commander class for War for Cybertron Kingdom is going to be that of Rodimus Prime. Now, Rodimus's trademark has never been an issue, so to do that would not be a trademark issue. It would really just be more of a topical issue. We do know that we're going to be getting a Galvatron at some point. There's going to be some kind of time travel shenanigans involved there. So if we have a future leader character along with all the current, let's call it 84, 85 characters mixed with Beast Wars, it only kind of makes sense that the leader of the other future character in Rodimus Prime kind of show up. Now, the explanation is, he's probably going to be a Voyager class into scale figure, and it's all going to fall onto that of the trailer. That'll make up a majority of the gimmick. And being a commander class, it's probably going to be fall in line similar to what they did with Skylynx, where Skylynx originally was a Voyager toy back in the Combiner Wars era, and then they figured out a way to engineer and tool him that you can make a commander class Skylynx and just kind of work with the gimmick. And what I mean by work with the gimmick, if they keep over the playset kind of thing that they had going on with Earthrise with the little ramps and stuff, I could see Rodimus Prime's trailer being something a little more than just a turret, a standalone like battle platform turret that it's always been in the past. It could actually be something that's more of a city or even that of a kind of, I guess, playset, which would be cool. It'd be a nice little change to the history of that character's, trailer, considering that, Optimus, we've always associated the trailer with the battle platform and roller and all of that, where, with Rodimus, it's, does the trailer transform with him in some iterations? Does the trailer not transform with him? What is the trailer? It's never really had any kind of fictional use. So it's something that would be very interesting to see that what they do with that. And again, keep in mind, 2 for 2, Siege and Earthrise, their Netflix series, featured both the the commander classes and the Titan classes. So if he is the commander class, chances are he will be making appearance in the Netflix series, if whoever this commander class is. So keep that in mind also. Next, we have the Titan class. Again, we already knew this. We've seen the images, the leaked images anyhow, fuzzy ones. It's going to be the Ark. So that's no surprise. Again, if this list is fake, it's not something that's using information that isn't already kind of publicly known at this point. So yeah, hey, the Ark, sure. Not much really I could say. It's been talked to death. But again, we have a EAO code here. Doesn't match up with anything that's been used at this point, so at least that's kind of legitimate. But again, maybe this guy who made this list did his homework, or maybe this list is legitimate. We'll see. That's still to be said. And last but not least, of the most interesting stuff here is a Transformers Target exclusive Leader Class T-Rex Maximal Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, a few things to take apart here. Number one, it's obviously going to be a Leader Class repaint of the Beast Wars Megatron Leader Class. They put an emphasis on Maximal here, again, because it really is a faction change repaint. Faction change repaints are when not only are you taking a mold and making a new character out of it, but to kind of mix it up in a lore perspective, you make it on the opposite side of the faction. This was a really popular idea back in the Transformers War for Cybertron toy line, where there was a lot of molds, and not War for Cybertron, the Transformers Cybertron toy line, in 2006, where there was a lot of great molds, and Aaron Archer was like, well, if we were going to do a new character from a repaint, it's also fun to make it switch factions, and you'd have stuff like Undermine being a Decepticon, and his repaint, Repugnus, being an Autobot, and so on and so forth, and he gave us characters even like Cannonball. That was a Decepticon from the Red Alert mold, which was a Autobot. A lot of great stuff like that. So T-Rex, of course, for people who aren't familiar with the history of that character, there was a subline in the Beast Machines line back in 2001 called the Dinobots, and they were all Autobots that were pretty much, and Maximals pretty much, that were working for the side of Optimus Primal, and it was just a way to kind of take a whole bunch of unused Japanese molds mixed with previously existing Beast Wars molds, slap them some new paint, and fill out the Beast Machines line with some old stuff. So that ended up giving a lineage that whenever we get a Season 1 Megatron toy in any shape or form, you could potentially paint him into T-Rex and you have that character. So again, this falls in line with what we talked about a few days ago about that weird Megatron head that surfaced on one of them, a running change where all the Megatron heads that have been on the Leader Class Kingdom stuff have had the normal face. There was one that had the grinning face, and I said in that segment all those days ago that the grinning face would fall very in line with that of T-Rex, considering that what the original mold was based on, that old, I guess 1996 wave Ultra Class Megatron toy from back in Beast Wars. There's a lot of, again, it's deep thinking in this, but if this is legit, hey, that's great. The only thing that sucks is for people, if they really want this, chances are it looks like this is going to be a Target exclusive. So if it's a Target exclusive Leader Class thing, that's going to be kind of a bummer. I was kind of actually expecting it to be probably something more of a Hasbro Pulse thing, where at least it has a little bit of a chance because it's a retail thing, and considering the way the world is right now as of this recording, a lot of people can't get to retail, where if it's online, it has a little bit more of a chance and a more open-ended stock inventory, where if everyone has to go to their individual targets, and especially at a Leader Class, which are at most 2 per case, that's where it's an issue. So it's something that, I don't know. And let's not even talk about guys like me in Canada where we just don't have Target. So, but again, it's cool. I like the idea of T-Rex getting another iteration after all these years. But at the same time, it's going to be done in a way that will be slightly difficult. But that's been kind of also the MO a lot of times in the past with Hasbro, is if you're going to do an obscure character, it's a lot safer to do it as a limited exclusive than that of a mass release thing. Because if it's a mass release thing and it doesn't do well, because it is a niche character, it is going to shelf warm. It's going to be it's going to be sitting around forever, and it doesn't look good. If you do it as a limited exclusive thing, especially when it's an exclusive from a retailer that paid the company to get an exclusive, then you could do anything. And it's going to have a little bit of a prestige and demand because it is a limited exclusive regardless of whoever the character is. And when the character is something that has a little bit of lore and Transformers history there, it adds a little bit to grease the wheels. But yeah, this is more or less it. Again, take it all with a grain of salt for now. Just wanted to kind of cover it. Again, I like to timestamp these kind of things, that if any of this does become legitimate later on, we could then go back and go, okay, Pixel Master, you were right. So, and if all of this isn't right, well, then we know not to trust. So again, that's the main reason why I do these segments, is because whenever this kind of stuff does pop up, it's something that we need to address just to cover our bases and make sure we get an idea of where our information is coming from and what we could take for granted and what we could just put aside and go, okay, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're getting our, we're not getting Beast Wars Inferno in Kingdom, but we're getting a black repaint Antagony instead. Okay, buddy. As much as I'd like that actually, but still, anyways, let me know what you think. This is interesting stuff to say the least, and hope you're enjoying your weekend. And tomorrow we got a stream, so we'll jump into that when the time comes.